Tally is back and he is reaping his vengeance on his former team.
Yes. What a game.
What a game.
What a game.
For you guys.
For me.
Yeah.
No.
I like how you were like, I was involved in none of the preparation, didn't do any of the organizing, but on the win, what a game for me.
I mean, what use is it being the boss if you don't get to claim all the credit?
100%.
Right? Otherwise, why do it?
The only thing I'll quibble about is that most bosses don't say, I don't do anything, and then take the credit. They just take the credit, and you assume that there's a lot of behind-the-scenes machinations going on.
That's just another positive about me. I'm very transparent.
Yeah, right. In some ways, it's even more bossly because you're showing how just inept you are
Just
at
how
work.
useless, how irrelevant.
But how
Yep.
you still get to take all the credit. That's
exactly.
That's a real power move.
Yes. No, in any case, it was a good game. I thought Legacy with the 1-3-1 and a 2-3 a little bit as well. But playing the side lanes very well. Order had a late game scaling team fight comp. Unfortunately, weren't able to get to the late game. They had a few team fight blunders early on. I think dropping the Herald in the side lane against Twisted Fate coming out of the base. You know, Oriana can't follow up easily, and they found themselves in a numbers disadvantage, and Kindred ended up losing her life. Kindred's one of those champions where as soon as you're behind, it's very, very difficult to play the game. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Only. Olaf Yumi, you know, very strong, very good against ranged champions. Not much peel on the side of Order. So once they sort of deployed into that 1-3-1, where TF had the ability to either gank the Gnar lane or force into the enemy jungle, I thought it was a very difficult game for Order to play from behind. They were going to have to do a lot of good things in terms of turtling in order to get that win. And fortunately for Legacy, they weren't able to.
Well, it'll be interesting to see once we manage to pick up the games that we missed from last Saturday's broadcast, which was postponed, and then we'll be able to see the standings, whether or not Order managed to stay in that top 5 like we were speaking about before the game started.
Yep. I mean, losing doesn't help, but I think I like the bottom 3 teams are AV, I mean, who did just play very well, but AV, Gravitas, and Mammoth. Gravitas and Mammoth, their records are pretty far out there.
It's only
really
AV
unlikely. It's only AV, and I think AV, I don't know their record off the top of my head, but I don't think it's great either. But you know, if they keep playing like how they did against the Chiefs, they could turn around.
They could turn around indeed. But we don't need to talk about that anymore. We need to talk about the Nick Bag.
I really feel like it's haunting me.
Yeah.
Like it's howling.
Yeah,
Like it's a werestalk.
A werestalk?
Yeah, like a werewolf, but it's obviously it's a stalk.
Oh, but a stalk, yeah, of course. I only just noticed there's only 4 toes on baby me.
Is there something you're not telling us, Nick? Take your shoes off right now.
I'll do it. Wait, am I allowed to? Is that like
Surely
breaking some
not.
Twitch TOS? I'm getting a big no. And you'll never find out unless you
Press 1 in
subscribe
chat
to
if you
my
want to see Nick's
Patreon.
feet.
Yeah. We'll find out
In 5 minutes' time.
Yeah. So for next segment, then you'll get some sweet foot action. Toned TNT says, can you ask Tim why Tally bought the wrong 10-pack of eggs on stream last night?
I don't know. It's a short answer. Sorry, I wasn't watching
Do you know
Tally's
anything
stream.
about this?
I have no idea. I didn't realize he even bought eggs. It's unlike James to do shopping at all. This is just all around a shock to me. So, I mean, why did he buy a 10-pack of eggs? First of all, I don't know. Second of all, he bought the wrong 10-pack?
Yeah.
What? I mean, like, obviously there are different eggs. Like, you can get... Here's something sort of relevant to your question, but much more interesting than Tally. When you buy free-range eggs, the minimum amount of chickens they can have in a hectare to qualify for free range is 10,000.
Yeah.
Right? 10,000 chickens in a hectare. But you can buy free-range eggs that, if you read the box, they all have to say how many chickens there are.
Yeah.
You can get down to, my chickens, 1,500.
Yes.
1,500 to a hectare. That's crazy.
I've seen, I haven't seen them in supermarket, but I've been to the website where you could find out.
They have chicken cam.
There are ones.
They've got webcams.
There are ones where it's 45 chickens
What?
a hectare. And I'm like, Is this just some
Luxury-
boutique chicken
yeah, luxury
egg
chickens.
outfit who's only selling to like 30 people?
Bourgeoisie
but somehow got on this
chickens.
website. Yeah, I mean those chickens. That's the life.
Those
but
have to be some special
1,500 is still
eggs.
pretty good.
They're the best that I've found. I
Yeah.
haven't done like any special online research or anything like that, but
Here's my thing. I didn't know you could buy 10 packs of eggs. Isn't it 6 or 12?
yeah, that's a good point.
Is that the wrong thing?
Maybe that's what's wrong. I don't know. You'd have to ask James. I'm sorry.
need
Maybe he'll
more
stream tonight.
information.
You can ask him. He's finished his game now, so he's probably watching right now. So in 5 minutes' time, when this segment goes to air,
Yep.
he'll probably reply in the chat for you.
There you go. And keep an eye out for that. And if he doesn't, TNT, please send me an email and just give me more context. Give me a clip from the stream. Something. I need to know. Luke says, hey, Nick, can you ask Carbon when the 2020 Legacy jersey will be available to buy? A man needs to represent.
We get this question a lot. I don't have an answer for you. Unfortunately, we are working on it right
You're very
now.
hands-off as the boss. But when it comes
I don't
out,
know because
it
I
was
actually
all
don't
because
do
of him.
anything. But I'm sure it'll appear at some stage, and when it does, I'll be sure to take credit.
Excellent. Jake Osipenko
Oh,
says,
hysterics.
hi, Nick. What do you think are acceptable colours to dye your hair for an esports broadcaster, and what colours should not be acceptable?
I'm not big on gamer hair.
Yeah.
I feel like gamer hair, like the trend of they all do crazy stuff to their hair. I feel like it looks good on a stream where you're controlling the lighting and all that sort of stuff. And it can look good on a broadcast too. But I've seen a lot of gamer hair outside a broadcast,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't hold up.
No.
So for me, gamer hair is like, I understand, like if you're working in the industry, if you're streaming every day, you want some gamer hair and make improve, your confidence and the quality of your broadcast, go ahead and get some gamer hair. But for me, the crazy colors and stuff, like I've seen it in broad day so many times, just like at the I'll be taking a gamer to the supermarket or something and he's got crazy hair and I'm just thinking like, you look ridiculous.
I like how, because it is gamer hair, it's very true. But I do like the fact that you keep calling it gamer hair. And then you said, I take a gamer to the supermarket. And it's just this idea that they're like chickens or something, where it's like, they're not people, they're gamers.
Yeah.
And it's like, I have an image of you with like,
flock?
with one of your Legacy boys wearing one of those backpacks that have the lead on it. And so it's like a Tibbers backpack with a lead and you just make sure that they don't run away in the supermarket.
Sometimes I feel like I need that.
Look, you can do whatever you want with your hair. That's fine. I tend to agree. I think where it falls over, because I do like different hair colors, where it falls over is the home dye job. Because it's just this block of color.
Yep, okay.
And that's not really how most people's hair is. Most people's hair have shades as it goes, as it like lightens and
grows
thins and all that sort of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. You need to go somewhere, spend all that money you're not spending on rent, and go spend it on your hair. Get a good gamer hair dye job. I'll take any color. I don't really like green because I just think it washes out the face. I like a pink. You see a lot of blue. I like silver. I do like silver hair.
I think silver's one of those ones where, like, because you see that on non-gamers as well.
They're called olds.
I call them normies.
Yeah, right.
But you see a lot of regular people with silver hair, and I think that can look really good. But a lot of regular people when they get their hair done, well, that's also not true. Sometimes I imagine they do home jobs as well.
But
They're more likely to go to the salon, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
If I forced you
Yep.
to dye your hair a different color,
Yep.
what would it be?
I don't know. I'd be afraid to dye my hair because it goes quite brittle. I think afterwards it probably all just fall out.
But I'm forcing it.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe like green. I normally
just
pick
team
green.
colour?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I actually hated the color green growing up. I was never big on green.
Yeah.
Never really liked green. But I've conditioned myself to enjoy green. And now, if you catch me playing a game with customizable characters or anything, like it's all green now. I'm green top to bottom. I've never enjoyed the color green.
You are contractually obligated to enjoy
Almost,
green.
yeah.
All right. Well, there's is there green in Direwolves? There's a little bit of green in Direwolves coming up. We've got the Direwolves versus PGG. I mean, I was debating whether or not that was green or like a
Teal.
like a tealy blue kind of situation. And really, I don't think at all any of this is important. What is important is we got Chippies, Mir, Shock, Vital, and Decoy, Coach Kai, Direwolves coming in for what for me is probably the game of the day up against PGG.
Yep, playing out of the Esports High Performance Center today, so they'll have that nice view of the SCG, which is always very cool when I see photos. Yes, playing up against PGG, who last weekend had a very good weekend, but last night did not have a very good night.
No, not a very good night at all. We got PGG's lineup. Please bring it up. Who have we got, Cub?
Panther playing top lane, Sully playing jungle, Get Back in the mid lane, Praedyth and Rogue playing bot, and they are coached by Western Way.
Sorry, I was very... PGG, we'll get to your chances in a second. I was very distracted. The chat finally caught up to the egg conversation. It was TFT eggs.
That's one of those ones where like you need to know at the time.
Yeah.
Because we also very seriously spent like 5 minutes talking about eggs. And it had nothing at all to do with the question.
We went so deep on eggs when we could have been talking about at
TFT.
least a Riot product.
Yes.
But I have to ask, how many chickens are laying these Riot eggs that we sell to everybody? We need to find out the hectareage on that. Okay, PGG, they are here. Bit of a grudge match going on for Direwolves and PGG. Who are you tipping for this one?
I like Direwolves. I thought they played pretty well last night, and I don't think PGG's form looks great. They did not look... I mean, everybody has an off day, but for me, Sully yesterday looked really shocking. I think that, yes, okay, if he turns it around, this could be a very competitive match, but I think Direwolves have, finals on their mind and in their eyes, and they're very keen on potentially catching, if Chiefs keep losing games, and Legacy lost games last week, if the top two keep losing games, there is potential there for Direwolves to catch up. So I think Direwolves is going to be very motivated, or would have been very motivated this week in training, and I think they're going to come away with the W.
All right, well, I'm going to back PGG just because there's been a big upset tonight already, and I'm ready for another one. Let's find out what happens. Direwolves versus PGG is coming up with the Makers Champ Select.
Third game of the day brings us Pentanet.gg taking on Direwolves, and if you're a Direwolvian fan, I tell you what, they definitely want to win after seeing the disruption from those first two games there, Tim.
It is looking like a day of upsets at the moment, if that AV game is anything to go off.
Yeah.
Direwolves absolutely will not want that to happen. Both Legacy and Chiefs are sitting on 3 losses at the moment, so if Direwolves are able to come away with this game with a win, then I think they'll be in pretty good stead for the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, currently sitting at 10-4, so definitely in a situation where they are hot on your heels, and you can definitely feel that burning sensation behind you. But Pentanet.gg have definitely shown us that they can make things happen from time to time again. They're doing what they did yesterday and sticking to that high priority on the Lee Sin.
Yeah, I mean, Miru is a keen Lee Sin player, so not a huge surprise to see them take it away. But yeah, I mean, shouts out to Sully for the confidence, willing to run it back after yesterday, says, not going to be defined by one performance, willing to try it again, and I can appreciate that, and I wish him the best of luck.
Look how confident Shock is, though. There was just no hesitation. As soon as that Lee Sin was locked in, bam, Syndra, I am taking it. I don't care about the matchup. I will play it. It's my most played this split, and I can do it with a fair amount of conviction. Rek'Sai as well, so a strong early game for them, and I think you can almost understand, maybe there's a Lisa comparison of, not performing too well yesterday, going absolutely balls to the wall today, and thinking probably Sully's going to do the same and try and make something crazy happen so I can just really help out Shock here.
Yeah, could be. Shock's Syndra is really good, has been for a while, so not surprising to see him take that away early. Rek'Sai is the traditional sort of counter to Lee Sin, just because he's able to stop the Q damage with his Unburrow and then sort of answer very quickly with damage of her own. So I don't think Rek'Sai is super strong in the meta right now, but certainly still a good matchup and very aggressive early game. So Keen to see what Miru can get done on the map. The counter pick of Echo into Syndra is an interesting one for me. Syndra is supposed to punish this lane really, really hard. So in terms of the laning phase, it's not a counter pick necessarily for get back, but certainly if he can survive the lane phase without falling too far behind, it becomes very difficult for Syndra to kill Echo in the side lane. So Echo sort of has that scaling, I think, on his side. Early Maokai, blind pick Maokai lock-in, potentially flexible to bottom lane.
Sure.
So we might see that because Olaf, Chippies is really the only Olaf top player on the server. He's pretty big on it. He plays a lot in solo queue, and he'll often get first blood level 1 or 2 just with the axe spam. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Maokai get flexed into that support role, but at the same time, we talk often about how Biopanther is a tank player, and I'm sure he's quite adept at the tree.
Well, 580 carries, technically 6 of you count Senna still in that frame. Taken away so far, so definitely going to limit the options of Vital and Praetor in their champion pools. Be quite interesting to see how things then finally do wrap up, with now Brom also denied as well, so still got all those heavy engaged supports, the likes of Fresh, Leona, Nautilus, and Vital. Well, if that was a Twitch, would have been quite excited.
Brom, for me, suggests that this Maokai is likely going to the bot lane.
Okay.
Brom is pretty good into Maokai. It's really hard for Maokai to engage at all against a Brom.
What is the true strength of the Maokai support?
Look, it's an engaged support. His W makes him untargetable, and it's an unavoidable route, which is a very, very strong tool. So easy setup for ganks. In the mid game, his ultimate covers a lot of ground. Another easy way to engage if you can set up a flank on the side. But at the same time, it's not the best support. It's you have saplings that can be a bit annoying early, but in comparison to the other melee supports, he's not great. Time Kench lock in though, so it isn't going to be Maokai. It is going to be Maokai top into the Olaf. So we'll see how Biopanther's able to weather that lane.
Yeah.
AD carry bans are interesting for me. I don't think that Praetor has a very big pool. I think he often plays a lot of the same AD carries. But opting into the Varus here, we'll see how he goes. It's an engaged champ, and then into the Zyra Khan. This is going to be a tough lane for Pentanet, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it will be his first Varus game, so quite excited to see how that one comes to fruition. A lot of CC for them to juggle around with, a lot of engagement tools, especially if the teleports come down from top lane. Sully gets involved there on the Lee Sin as well, so yeah, going to be a rough laning phase for them between that and the Lovers' Joy to go for the 2v2, but I think Direwolves, especially with the form that Vital, Chippies and Shock are in, quite scary to deal with them.
It's a weird comp. Looking at it again from Pentanet, it's a weird, like, okay, so they have Maokai's really good team fighter, but not great in the 1-3-1. Lee Sin is sort of a, he can do a little bit of everything. But then Echo very much wants to play to 1-3-1, not to team fights necessarily. But Varus is a team fighter, but then Tahm Kench sort of wants to 1-3-1. He wants to ult into the side wave. So for me, the comp's identity, I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
Whereas for the Direwolves, it's very clear. It's win lane, win game. Olaf should win that lane. Syndra should win that lane. Zyra Khan. Bot lane, I'm not 100% sure about, but I'm pretty confident that
they should win as well.
That they should win that lane as well. And then the Rek'Sai wins the jungle, should win the jungle matchup. 60-40 against Lee Sin. So, Direwolves, the comp identity I see very clearly, and we'll see. We'll have to see whether or not Pentanet can stand up to this.
So what you're basically saying is we need Western Way here. Damn COVID-19.
Yes, it would be. I'd be very interested to hear in what he has to say. I suspect it would have something to do with champion pool limitations.
Sure.
And the bans. I could be completely wrong. For me, the big question mark is this bot lane, but I don't see how they win it. So, in any case, we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah. I suppose you obviously got Tahm Kench there with the Devour to make sure that Praetor does get jumped upon. Is it going to be that squishy target? Does have that get out of jail free card, but
looks like an invade.
Does look like an invade, as Direwolves been quite good at this sort of recent.
Okay, they're gonna. Ooh, Miru walked in that bush, and we saw a bunch of pings go down.
Yes.
Pentanet. Sully's got to be suspicious here.
Well, Pentanet are fanning out right now. Sully would have spotted that one. But they're going to reset.
I mean, they must have researched, like, you know, they must have researched, they must have seen something. But that was very, I don't know, that was weird. It would be weird for Pentanet to enter that bush. But.
Unless they're looking for a late invade.
No, because you can't late invade with a bot lane, right? Because Dial's bot lane needs to walk back bottom in order to get to lane in time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll have to write that one off and just say that Direwolves knew something that we didn't.
Well, they are going to place a ward down towards their Raptors, protect the invade that may come out from Miru. Both going to start top side. Parving towards bot, we're going to see. And then we might have a bit of action in that bottom lane to understand exactly how this 2v2 matchup fares on out. But I am quite excited to see the jungle of influence, the redemption story, if anything, really, for Sully.
Yeah, definitely had a tough game yesterday. I mean, like I said in the pre-game, you know, you're not defined by one performance.
No.
But at the same time, you do think about it, and he'd certainly not want to repeat.
I think, especially in these kind of games, right, when you are really challenging for those top spots, when you're looking really for the most desirable positioning when it comes to playoffs, so it's good to check of your form, of your dominance, of your prep. Scenario, different situation, different surroundings.
Not much happened so far. Both junglers just, well, Lee Sin opting into the full clear, so Sully, no intention of ganking early. Probably a smart thing to do. Most of his lanes need a couple levels before they really come online.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to be caught by Miru in the river. Most of his lanes are getting shoved in, and like I said, Lee Sin has a pretty hard time 1v1ing him anyway, so don't mind the pathing here.
Miru will go in for the invade now on towards red. Ward will expire. He's going to find him. Going to go straight in with the charge. Doesn't connect.
Miru has missed, and he's got no tunnel.
Now out comes the Burrow to climb, get himself into a situation. Looks good right now. He's going to burn that flash to get on out. Incredibly low, drawing the aggro of both mid laners. But Sully, quite happy with that one.
Yeah, I mean, Miru misplayed the micro pretty hard there. What makes this matchup Rek'Sai favored is the fact that when Lee Sin tags you with his W, you can just hold your unburrow either until he Qs in or until the Q wears off, and then you return with damage. But Miro used his tunnel aggressively, which meant he had no way out, and on top of that, he unburrowed before Sully had even thrown his Q. So Sully got to land both sides of his Q, essentially for free, and if that happens, then the Rek'Sai's in real trouble.
There's more action in the top side as Miru just finds action again, and he's got nowhere to go unless he's got that tunnel up, which he does. Very long cooldown at 24 seconds. But
not the worst.
Fraction.
Yeah, it's not the worst. I mean, he does get tracked, so Sully should have an idea of where he's going to go next. But the fact that Miru was able to secure the crab before having to run away means that he won't be too far behind in XP. Getting double crab definitely never feels great. Meanwhile, in this top lane, Chips has developed quite the CS lead, and he's got the wave shoving in as well. So, assuming he gets all these creeps under tower, we talked a little bit about Maokai in the draft, and I think you could say pretty comfortably that this counter pick is working out for Direwolves.
Absolutely, and it's warranting the attention of Sully to help him push that wave in to get crashed, have it come back towards him. He was out of mana.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 24 CS lead, and Chippy's probably going to shove this next wave in before he bases as well. So, definitely a tough early game for BioPanther, but this is a pretty impossible matchup, to be frank.
He's going to hold onto his teleport and run back to lane as these minions do fall to the tower. We're going to be a fair bit away.
That's tragic.
It's getting worse by the minute.
There must be... Do they have a set play in mind? Is there a bot dive coming from the Maokai at level 6? Like,
well, that's what I'm wondering, right? You know, you talked about this 2v2 matchup, and you're thinking, surely there's a case where Sully shows attention to the bottom side, Echo collapses in with level 6 for the freedom.
yeah.
TP comes in, and they just go, look, I can't do much.
Yeah,
I'm just going to root somebody in and hope for the best.
Saving the TP is like, the wave is pushing back to Olaf, so Chippies doesn't need to TP either. I mean, I guess you don't want to lose TP advantage to a guy who's already beating you in lane, but
Sure.
But you know, this lane is going to get worse before it gets better.
He's got the Warhammer online now, so extra cooldown, extra damage at his disposal. Make it that much more annoying to deal with those axes that get thrown his
on
way.
the race. We'll see whether or not he Looks for that tunnel over the wall. Get back is 6, so that does make it difficult to dive. No, opts into just securing those chickens. Sully looking for an opportunity bot lane.
Now this would be the situation where you'd wonder, does the teleport come out now from the Maokai? Miru has his eyes set fixed on mid lane. Get back will have the ability to jump on back if need be. Hangs on to it. But this means there's a lot of priority now for Direwolves to make the move.
Yeah. I think Sully picking up the crab here, using his bot priority to get the crab is pretty big because it might have been a tough spot otherwise.
Sure.
Like you said, Syndra has a lot of priority as a result of that gank. Get back doesn't have the TP available, so he's going to be on this health for a little while now. It'll be hard for Sully to do much else. Miru invading on the top side now. Sully just sort of...
He's not going back.
The chickens aren't there. The camera's not on him on the minimap, but he's sort of been walking back and forth on where chickens would have been otherwise. And getting into doing the dragon now.
Gonna go for the solo.
Dragon's not a bad, it is an objective. It's, obviously beneficial, but, to lose your topside camps definitely hurts.
Both bot lanes do go back for the 4 reset. Sully was pinging for before, just saying, where are they?
Biopanther's just walked mid, I guess, to help the shove, but, I mean, he can't go to lane,
No.
I guess. That's it, right?
It looks like Olaf's freezing.
Yeah, he can't go to lane. There's nothing for him to do there. The problem is Dragon's down as well, so I think we're about to see that bot lane dive, and Bios, from this position, the Maokai ult is extremely difficult to avoid. We'll see whether they pull the trigger.
They surely are. They're going to come for it right now. They're going to start off with the Maokai. How do Vital and Decoy play this one? Both going to get rooted. Both going to look to use those summoners very early on. Heal comes out. Decoy survives. Vital flashes away. Decoy does go down in the end as the sniper comes out from Varus. But Chippies gets amongst and he falls on down. That massive lead accounting for very little. And more members come flooding on in. Get Back wants to make it happen. But the turnaround is Shock rocks on up. Miru getting the execute. Flashing in forward for the second. Direwolves finding aggression underneath their own tower.
At the end of the day, it's 2 for 2. Very tense dive there, to be honest. The fact that they got the kill on the Olaf is pretty huge, because that means that he's not going to have the TP anymore. Biopanther has the opportunity to re-dive when his ult comes back up. So strategically, I think PGG, this will alleviate a lot of pressure, but the replay coming through, we'll see that both the roots land here, but because there's no creeps under the tower, nobody is super keen on tanking for too long, and you can see Bio, he tanks 2 shots and then immediately walks out. Olaf not quite strong enough to 3v1 there, and the Tahm Kench Devour coming in clutch. Vital gets trapped under the tower, but Shock being here, manages to get that flash stun, and 2 easy kills for Miru after that.
Chippy's holding the wave in there with the teleport on that last minion. That Pentanet was so desperately looking to try and crash on into that tower. And as you highlight, made it quite easy for them to buy time for the response. Bio does hang on to that teleport, gets himself back to lane, but still down by double.
Chippies could be in trouble here.
Chippies wants to make something happen. He's sitting pretty in his
bottom lane. He's
just going to flash forward. It doesn't matter how big that shield is. Chippy's got you. He's got you with the axe. But Sorty for the second time finds a kill.
Yeah. Just not able to save Rogue there. Just a little bit slow on the kick, perhaps. Rogue probably would have died either way. But look, it's not the worst trade. Support for the top laner, particularly in Olaf. The problem for Chippies is that if he keeps dying like this, he's going to fall off very quickly. And if Biopanther is able to, sort of stabilize this lead a little bit, pick up some XP, pick up some CS, he's going to be much more relevant in the mid to late game. Could be in trouble here, though.
Could be in trouble indeed, as Decoy goes for the dash. Plenty of mobility, though, and that will buy enough time to distract the attention of Pentanet for a second headbutt.
Almost a 3k gold lead, despite kills being even. CS lead in pretty much every lane.
Yeah.
It makes the game difficult, but, I think a lot of that is just what happened in the draft. Direwolves seemed like, if I'd seen the draft at the end, I would have assumed that Direwolves had somehow counter-picked every lane, but of course we know that Syndra was a blind pick.
raw confidence, really, from the get-go. There was certainty as soon as they locked in a Lee Sin. I'm taking this. Syndra's mine. Rek'Sai was pondered for about 10 seconds, but once again, locked in. So Direwolves, it almost felt like you can play whatever you want. We have a clear idea, a clear vision of what we want to bring to the Rift today.
I think there's a dive coming bot lane as we see Vital and Decoy making their way into the bot side of the jungle. Biopanther, I mean, I know he carries the moniker of tank, but he's not very tanky right now.
He's not very tanky at the moment. What about those 2 core items online? He's going to meet the wrath of 4 hungry wolves, and they pounce on in, burning an ultimate as well. Decoy, amongst all of them, will be the one to pick up the killing blow. And without any minion wave there, unable to get any more plates.
Yes, this is, it's one of those ones where, yes, okay, you know, the dive is successful, but you know, they committed 4 people to a tank that only has 40 CS. Well, actually, to be fair, Dragon is spawning soon, so in terms of the macro, it is an advantageous position for Direwolves to be in, certainly, but yeah, Biopanther feeling the pain this game.
Looks like they're going to trade bot tower for top, but then they will, as you say, have the positioning advantage to go towards this Drake and also look for mid lane ganks as Get Back bites off a little bit more than he can chew.
Yes, mid lane hasn't been super relevant this game yet. I think Get Back has done an okay job. I mean, he hasn't fed in lane, but at the same time, you know, he is 30-odd CS down, and he only has the Merc Tread, so it's going to be a little while before he's a real backline threat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, this is a very difficult matchup for the Echo, and we'll have to see. I think once he gets his Proto Belt finished, if they aren't, you know, much further behind by that stage, I think it'd be pretty relevant. Now, Tahm Kench has just gone to base, and the axe landed. I don't think Praetor is long for this world.
He's just stood still. He knows what's happening. Even Chippy's just like, what are you going to do?
Stands and delivers, but unfortunately nothing doing. Burns that flash early, realizing how much trouble he was in, but yeah, that's the thing about Olaf. It's hard to run.
Yeah, he thrives in those situations. Even if he's the one on low HP, his passive kicks in. And he is the king of punch-ons. But as you say, yeah, Direwolves definitely finding the advantages in those individual matchups, which is what you highlighted from the very get-go of draft. Able to find himself a nice little gold lead here. 2K is stabilized.
Yeah. But I think, for me, what the biggest issue with the Pentanet draft is it outscales, you know, sort of, but not hard enough.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's really, for me, it's like, okay, yes, Maokai is more relevant in the late game than the Olaf because Olaf falls off really hard and, you know, tanks are always relevant. Yes, you know, Echo's going to win in the side lane in the late game against Syndra for sure, but it's not like they have anything that scales super hard, you know, like Xayah Rakan, much better than Varus. Tahm in the late game, you know, Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, more or less the same. And even then, you know, it's not like Syndra is bad. Syndra's still very strong later in the game. So if they can keep the gold lead at around this level,
wow,
I think they're in a good position, but
that was a aggressive, optimistic attempt at a gank dive there.
yeah, and I think
Burns
they're going to I think they're going to pay for that with their mid tower probably. As there's a scramble to try and return to mid, but yeah, unfortunately they use the Tahm ult to get to bottom lane, which means no tools left in responding to this mid push, and you can see that Sully is standing behind the Olaf in the hopes that they could maybe salvage this trade, but Getback says, nah, mate, I'm half health. I don't do anything to this guy.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
out of here.
Doesn't want to have to burn any more resources than they already have, and as you say, it's getting a little bit rough right now because he's got the Black Cleaver online, soon working towards that second power spike. Death's Dance just becomes a joke once he's got that too.
Yeah, what I like about what Direwolves are doing is they're not pushing the tempo too hard. You know what I mean? It's not like, yes, okay, they drafted to win lane, but at the same time, like they're not too worried about that scaling. They're not in a rush like, we need to finish this game right now. We need to, you know, we need to be diving. We need to be doing X and Y.
Yeah.
Because you know, they don't get outscaled that bad, but also scaling is going to be relevant for another 10 minutes or so, and they're still very much in the driver's seat of this game.
Definitely feels like they're the ones looking at reactive plays to say, well, if Pentanet are trying to push the objective and really make a play happen across the map, if they can't collapse in it, we're always finding punishment. Once again.
Looks like it might be a team fight.
Yeah, once again, Pentanet are the ones trying to force some action. They're going to start the Heralds. He's going to catch the attention of Direwolves that are buying time to wait for Olaf. He's got the teleport to come in, and from enemy lines at that, Get Back needs to make something happen before Chippy's rocks on into this fight. He has Flash, he has Ragnarok, and he's going to run straight into this backline. They're considering it. When do they go in? Redemption comes down, tops them up. Featherstorm to lock them in place. And they just run on through every single member of that composition. 4 members full. They want the 5-man ace. Miru's on the hunt. But every ultimate is burnt.
Yeah, I mean, Pentanet's so desperate to eke out any small return they can get, you know?
Yeah.
Just hoping on a prayer that they can sneak that Rift Herald under the noses of Direwolves. But Direwolves are just so strong right now. We see this replay. Yes, Get Back has a flank, but unable to make the damage stick. And Chippy's flank is just so much more relevant. Lands a 3-man axe immediately. And then, you know, after that, once that first axe lands, when Olaf's in a position where he can't actually be killed, there's no escaping. It's just so easy. You just run in a straight line. He's throwing that axe over and over and over again, and Pentanet just get cleaved.
Pick it up, chuck it down once more, and you might as well become a lumberjack in these dark times, because he is chopping you down.
Yeah, and that 2k gold lead has grown to a 5k gold lead, and
yeah,
this is where this game gets extremely difficult. You know, it was balancing on a knife's edge for a little while, where we were talking about, okay, maybe when Echo gets his proto belt, maybe when Maokai gets some, you know, some deep defensive stats.
Yeah.
But at this stage, it's, you know, Miru soloing Dragon while they're pushing in mid-wave, while Olaf is pushing. You know what I mean? The members are so strong individually that really they can just take whatever they want.
Yeah. You can see there on your screen just how much gold is in Praetov's pockets. I never really find that situation to showcase what it can actually do for Pentanet, however, because the rest of the members are just so far down compared to their counterparts.
Yeah, I mean, it is, again, one of those games where we're watching and it's like, well, you know, maybe Praetor can carry. You know, maybe
it becomes
if
a
he
bit
gets...
of a boring narrative at this stage, right? Just seeing the same thing happen with him having this many
I mean, yeah,
resources,
it's a meme. You know, it's Marky time. Mark Lewis, Praetor. You know, you're just sort of hoping like, you know, can he do some double lift, Uzi, crazy, absorb all the farm and just 1v9 carry? And, you know, it's so rare that he actually does, as we see more Pentanet members just getting picked off way outside their tower range.
Direwolves are just able to find members out of position, out of time, out of ability to make something happen. Praetor was so low to falling on down. Thank God for the Direwolves not being able to execute before Devour came out from Tahm Kench.
But if you forgive the pun, it's just becoming more and more dire for Pentanet.
Yep.
It's trying to force outside the tower when they're behind. I mean, you can see the desperation. You know, it's desperation Herald, desperation drop Herald top for a tier 2 tower while you're losing mid, Dragon, and bot. You know, it's, you know, I understand that you need to trade when you're behind to try and, you know, eke out some gold, but
yeah,
too little, too late. I think at this stage, got about 40 seconds or so until the Baron spawns.
And that surely becomes the next most relevant objective for them to really try and make something happen, you know? Double the amount of towers that they've lost, double or triple actually the amount of kills that they're behind. And there are so many bounties. 4 members of Direwolves have it, you know? If there's ever a comeback potential, it's when you're sort of thinking, look, maybe we are the ones to take a step back and let Direwolves be the one to make the move. And ideally, we find a play around that.
Yeah, the saving grace here, I suppose, for Pentanet is that they do have a pretty good counter Baron team. Echo very good, diving into the pit. You know, his W covers most of the Baron pit.
Yeah, the big
Maokai ult definitely covers the Baron pit, and then you know, when they're all confined in a space like that, Varus ult easily spreads, and it becomes easier for him to kite from outside the pit. So they do have, you know, a team comp that is quite good at defending a Baron, but I fear that, yeah, at 7k, it becomes a mountain of a task.
Sunfire Cape only online for BioPanther now. 2 items complete, however, for this Varus, if he can get the uptime, he's got a lot of attack speed at his disposal. But compared it to the 2 major items completed with BF swords as their major focus, Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver. This Xayah is incredibly protected.
Yes, yes. I mean, Guinsoo's Bork Varus is very strong. And if he can get a reset on a kill and he gets his passive going, he is able to pump out a lot of DPS. But the problem for me is that, well, he's just deemed level 11. I was going to say his ult isn't even rank 2, and Shock is just so strong.
Okay, well, this is the time they need to try and make something happen.
coming in.
TP is going to come on out. We're going to see that engage come across. It's just going to be a little bit too late. That Baron got shredded.
They might have to fight here anyway.
They're going to look for it. It's going to be the dash on in and the kill to collect. The redemption to go down. The top up to connect. They're going to look to try and find these kills. Vivisol flashed in aggressively to look for the double root. And not a single member of the Direwolves will fall on down. But they find blood. And they find everything on this map. Knock up CC. Everything you could want. And get back for the second time in a row, the sole survivor.
Yes, I mean, he does have the ultimate. No one else on Pentanet gets to have 2 chances at life, but yeah, just a little bit slow in reacting to the Baron. Obviously very difficult through the fog of war, and unfortunately they commit to the team fight, but the Baron was already dead. So easy for Direwolves to turn in that scenario, and 7k becomes 10.
This is a really scary Direwolves team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just, for me, like, I don't think Get Back, when I watch this replay, and I should have told you guys to watch Get Back from the start, but he does not look comfortable on Echo. This team fight and the team fight at the Herald before, he throws out the parallel convergence, he ease over the wall to try and get that dash, but he's not using his Proto Belt to get onto the back line. He's not actually proccing his stun on anybody. You know, in the Rift Herald team fight, he committed to the Rakan and did nothing. He just got charmed immediately. There, he eased over, sees the AD carry, doesn't Proto Belt, and just ults to get out straight away. I mean, you know, we don't have live damage charts, but I'm going to assume that at the end of this game, I'd be surprised if he did more damage than, I don't know, Tahm Kench.
Let that one sink in for a second. Third Dragon picked up here for the Direwolves says, really, is there an opportunity for Pentanet to get himself back into this one? It's down by 10k exactly. Every lane is pushing in. Mid lane exposed in Herder falling down before. Perfectly timed with the reset to pick up the Drake.
Yeah, I love what I see here, and that is Direwolves opting into not shoving that wave in immediately. Just standing next to the wave, keeping the creeps barren so that they don't die, but allowing Olaf to shove that mid wave in. It was lagging a little bit behind so that both waves crash at the same time. That's how you create the most amount of pressure out of a Baron push.
Really getting Pentanet to think as to how they want to handle this one. Top lane left to its own devices. They look to try and break this one through and find themselves a second inhibitor. Another team wipe would do it. This game would end.
Varus ult misses. They're just sort of giving up the tower now. They know that their engage has fizzled out, and I mean, there is the opportunity for Biopan to throw his ult across, but they really do not want to fight outside the towers, so they're just giving up their inhibs for now. Creeps are coming in. We'll see where the Direwolves go for the end.
Direwolves have no flash. There is an exhaust still available for Rogue to find on one fed member. Bear in mind, Shock is 5-0, incredibly fed with their Rabadon's cap. Can one-shot anybody.
Baron's out now.
Baron is gone, but those super minions are starting to flood on in. First Nexus turret will fall down eventually.
Ooh. Stiff Breeze will do it, but they're going to wait for the minions anyway. We've got supers crashing now, so no Baron, but these waves are still pretty tanky.
Pretty hard for him to respond in this situation right now, especially when you get CC'd like that. Get back, forced to dash on out. Still holds on to his ultimate.
Looks like they are not going to try and force the issue here. They do have Ocean Soul in 3 minutes, but that's a long way away. If I'm the Direwolves, I'm just committing to that top lane tower now. They have 2 inhibs down. You just pick up that third inhib, get the double supers out, then you try and siege that single Nexus tower again.
Well, they're going for a reset onto Shock, who's now got even more damage at his disposal.
Oh.
10 stacks
What is
to
the
Dark
AP
Seal.
on Shock?
I
would love to see that.
Yeah, if we switch to him.
540.
540, yeah.
Level 15. I mean, he's got 4 levels on the jungler, 3 levels on the enemy mid top laner who's supposed to be the tank. This guy is one-shotting anybody who looks at him the wrong way.
Absolutely. Between that and the magic penetration he has online right now, where is the magic resistance?
There is none.
There is none. You got Merc Treads, but as you say, Echo hasn't really been a factor in this game for them to even worry about. 0-1-0.
Yeah, Echo does have his 2 items, and he's not too far behind on XP, but it's not like he has a lead, you know? If he lands that stun on a backline target, there is the potential for him to kill them, but it's not that one-shot Echo that, you know, Pentanet would have liked to have seen. It's not that Echo that is just EQ, auto, and that's essentially a kill. He's definitely going to need, 2 rotations.
Well, Decoy's actually got more money than this Maokai at this stage, right? So this Rakan is
he does.
Is fairly strong.
He does. And, yeah, I mean, what can you say? You know, it's been 26 minutes of Wolfpack hunting.
See the discipline there, not to really hard force that final Nexus turret down, realizing just the amount of bounty they have at their disposal. If they were to get cleaned out with a shutdown, that's repeat shutdowns. That's a lot of gold that instantly swings in for maybe a power spike that Pentanet can find.
Yeah, I mean, if they kill them, sure. You know, there's a lot of gold on the table for Pentanet. That mid-tier 1 is still up. Like you said, there's a ton of shutdowns, but, you know, for me, I was, you know, more or less going to have to go AFK. You know, there's going to have to be some sort of emergency at the house where it's probably not even enough that one of them AFKs. It's probably 2.
Yeah.
You probably need 2 of them to disappear, and maybe then. But
really
here we go.
Signifies how far ahead they are, and that really demonstrates it. Look at how Shock just deleted Sully off the board right now. Double kill is found here by Chippies, who runs rampant through this team fight. Get back gets the Rico. He dodges out of Hodge, and he runs away. Mid lane is completely exposed. Let's retake down that inhibitor. Let's go for this Nexus. Let's go for the victory.
Here we go. That'll be all she wrote, I think. Rek'Sai comes through.
They just want to pet this KDA. They want to get more kills on the board. They will find it. Never the full 5-man ace, but is that really a problem? 19 kills to 3. Direwolves find victory.
Amazing performance out of the Wolfpack. You can see their line up there. They'll be very happy with that win. Pentanet, I think Hype Train, well and truly derailed. We talked a lot about them at the beginning of the show on the Friday, that they had the last 2 weeks, they had beaten both Chiefs and Legacy.
Yeah.
They looked like maybe they were going to be giant killers, but 2 pretty tough losses back-to-back for them. So they'll be back to the drawing board for Pentanet, but Direwolves, amazing game. They've looked so strong this weekend. You know, week 8, only 2 more weeks to go. If they can keep up that form, I think they're a red-hot chance.
Lots of 2-0 weekends for them in recent times, right? And it's definitely showing that their form is in a spicy flavor. It is definitely one that you don't want to have too much of and find out that you're out of milk. You know, in these times of crisis, if you've got no milk, no yogurt, no nothing to really stem that spice in your mouth, you may be crying for many more reasons than the spanking you've just received.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Keep the yogurt on deck, I guess.
I don't know where we're going with this one. Nick is laughing because I feel like this chair has
it's
a
your
bit of
shit,
Nick.
man. You're piloting it. I'm just
like
along for the
there's a bit
ride.
of Nick in this chair, and I just feel like stuff comes out, and I've embraced it. I've become him in a small way. But regardless, let's jump back to the game because that's what we should be talking about. Were there signs, really, if you can find one, where Pentanet showed any signs of, I can get into this? Obviously, Maokai was down low. We saw him come down for that gank.
Yeah, I mean, that one opportunity was that bot dive. I thought that was very creative from BioPanther. I liked that a lot. You know, it's probably something that practiced in scrims, maybe using the TP instead of walking, or, you know, I'm sure he'd prefer not to do it while 40 CS down or whatever. But it was pretty creative and it was pretty successful. Unfortunately, the wave wasn't there, so they weren't able to, you know, in an ideal world, they quickly execute that dive, they kill Xayah, they kill Rakan, and they get out of tower range. But because there was no creeps, no one was tanky enough to really tank the tower for too long.
Yeah.
It gave Direwolves the opportunity to regroup and punish on that dive. And yeah, I mean, they were already behind when it started, and they sort of threw caution to the wind to make a play against tempo, and really hurt them.
Well, the race for top 3 gets that much closer as we jump into the final game of the day. Right after this break, Gravitas take on Mammoth. Both going to get rooted, both going to look to use those summoners very early on. Heal comes out, Decoy survives, Vital flashes away. Decoy does go down in the end as the sniper comes out from Varus, but Chippies gets amongst and he falls on down. Get Back wants to make it happen, but the turnaround is Shock rocks on up. Mira getting the execute, flashing in forward for the second. When do they go in? Redemption comes down, tops them up. Featherstorm to lock them in place. And they just run on through every single member of that composition. They're going to look for it. It's going to be the dash on in and the kill to collect. The Redemption to go down. The top up to connect. They're going to look to try and find these kills. Featherstorm flashed in aggressively to look for the double roots. Look at how Shock just deleted Sully off the board right now. Double kill is found here by Chippies, who runs rampant through this team fight. They just want to bat this KDA. They want to get more kills on the board. They will find it. Never the full 5-man ace, but is that really a problem? 19 kills to 3. Direwolves find victory.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.